Yo, yo, yo. How's it going, folks? Hey, Chris, David, Anita, James, FK, Jamie, Alex.
Yo, yo, yo.
Whoa, let's pause that. Okay. How's it going? Right. Cool. You can hear me on Zoom. YouTube. Those on YouTube, can you hear me? Can you just type something in the comment box on YouTube? And for those on Facebook, howdy. And any chance someone could comment on the Facebook one just to double check it's all going. Okay. Oh, there's such a bad delay with Facebook and YouTube. Either that or everyone that's watching is not saying anything. We got Planet Blix. Hey, good to see you. Rob, on Zoom, everyone is on mute at the moment, but you have the ability to unmute yourself. So, yeah, if you want to share a thing, we'll kick off at 12 o'clock, so 1 minute to roll. Good to see you. Hey, on Facebook. Nice. Deep, Carl. Nice. Hey, Vin on YouTube. Lovely, jubbly. I'm starting to get the hang of this whole streaming malarkey. I really struggled with, streaming to begin with, but getting there. It's interesting. Like normally with these, I'm a nobody from Norwich, and like with these daily live streams, there's normally across all the platforms about 50 to 60 people, which I still find fascinating that there are 50, 60 random people out there that are listening to some random small fry bloke like me. And when we look at it from, I guess, a business marketing point of view, it's incredible. Like I remember I used to do free seminars for like business and stuff like that. And when you're driving traffic, so if you're driving adverts on Facebook to get people to a free seminar, as in bums on seats, literally a physical seminar, the C boss, is it? The C boss is I call it the cost per bum on seat, was extortionate, to the point where it ranged from 50 to 100 pounds C boss, because you'd have people booking onto your free seminar or whatever it is, but then you'd have like 25% turn up rate. And so your C boss just went high, and then you had to do like crazy stuff. Well, not crazy stuff. Like you have to do multimedia things to make sure those that did sign up to your seminar actually turned up. So you had to send text messages, physical mail, email. You got to nudge them, and yeah. So I just find this fascinating that you can do a live stream and some people sign on. So right, Facebook is having trouble. Sorry. What is going on with Facebook? Come on. Okay, Facebook, tough luck. Let's crack on. So today, thanks for being here. This is going to be an opinion live session, and we're going to keep this quick. I have to wrap this up by 12:30 later. So this is going to be the fastest live session we've done. And we're going to share our thoughts about billionaires, millionaires, money and excessive spending, and all of the little sub threads that spin off from that. And I think it's going to be pretty fascinating. Now, the rules here is that for those on Zoom, if you want to, oh man, damn Facebook. Right, so sorry, folks. I'm just going to start Facebook again, because Facebook is useless. Live. Share your. Sorry. Start live session. Come on. So I'm aware that this is wasting your time. Come on, silly phone. This is really frustrating. I've got like 4 different internets in this house, and my office, the epicenter of the house is the one with the worst freaking internet. Because right, we're getting there. We're getting there. The wait is worthwhile. Don't worry. Here we go. Start the live session, please, because I got some nuggets to share with you. Stupid Facebook. One last attempt. If this doesn't work, I'm just gonna chin Facebook off, because it's the Zoomers and the YouTubers which has priority. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so here are the rules. If you are going to share an opinion, please keep your mic slots. I'm going to give you the mic. Please keep it less than, say, 5 minutes max, less, but ideally about 2 minutes. There have been times in the past where we've opened up the mic and then someone will talk for 20 minutes. And yeah, it's not ideal. So so that's that. So try and keep it short, because then your opinions will then most likely lead to, sub opinions, yada, yada, yada. Right. So the reason we're going to talk about this is because I apparently have done something controversial this weekend. And this controversial thing was basically, as you saw from yesterday, I won a golf bet, a silly golf bet. And this was last year, this bet. And as a joke, I said, if I win this insurmountable challenge and I take the £1,000 off my mate, I'd literally just do something really ridiculous with it, just for memories. And so I got £205 notes, and then put it into like an artwork. And guess what? I got a whole bunch of private messages saying that this was untasteful, this was disrespectful to the poor, this was just like I'm a horrible human being, all that sort of stuff, which is just, I personally think it's ridiculous. Now, I can relate to some of the comments. And now, so there is a healthy way to talk about this. And this is why I want to talk about this. So and this really, I've actually ignored some of the direct messages, because some of them were not conductive or constructive at all. It was just a hate message. But there was one on Facebook from an old mate. I haven't seen him, in like 10 years, by a guy called Nigel. And he's approached it in a much nicer way. And so when people are, open-minded and, for a conversation as opposed to like a slander or, a hate chat, then yeah, I'm open. So, and I see where he's coming from. Basically, he's in this hard situation at the moment, his personal life and, money life, etc. And so seeing me, effectively waste £1,000 on a piece of art was disrespectful to those struggling. Now, I'm going to read out my reply to that, because that's probably going to end up... and Chris, who replied to him, I completely agree with what you said, mate. But where was mine? Oh, dear. So here are my thoughts. I got hard. So first of all, I got hit hard in 2020 as well. I really did. 7 of my businesses had revenues that dropped between 50 to 90%. I'm just going to read out my points, by the way, so this will all be disjointed. I pay a lot of tax to the government. With over 60 staff across the group, I do my fair share for the economy, and it feels like I'm constantly sending HMRC huge amounts of money. A caveat to that, which I didn't write, is I also do extracurricular activity, i.e. my investing. And whenever I make profits from my investing, I then have to pay CGT, capital gains tax. So this is a tax that most people don't even pay, because most people do not make profits on their investments above the CGT allowance. So I'm doing even more tax than most people. I've also saved about 20 jobs this year and last year that I really needed to make redundant, but I didn't. And thus bled a lot of my personal money to refinancing the businesses, because I'm chronically aware that if you make someone redundant, that person will struggle to pay rent and mortgage, etc. And that is not lost to me as an employer. I know a lot of employers that are ruthless, and they'll literally fire someone without a second thought. But whenever I want to fire someone or make someone redundant, I'm just really aware that they have rent and mortgages, and if they got a family, it's even worse. And so it's that seesaw of being soft and nice compared to, is your business going under because of this? And I almost lost, I think, 3, maybe 4 businesses in 2018 from bleeding about 20 grand a month out of my own personal pocket just to keep superfluous staff members on board. And so that's 20 grand a month coming out of my pocket, which, you know, could have been spent on my own family's security. And in fact, I ended up keeping 20 odd staff on, which in the end had zero loyalty or even gratefulness for what I did. So yeah, anyway, that's another thing altogether. Next point, I buy more things than most, therefore I'm constantly plowing money back into the local economy. Basically, I'm a net contributor to the economy and society, a lot more than most. In terms of this being a waste of money, well, I'm pretty sure I could look at your spending or anyone else's and identify superfluous or ridiculous spending. I don't do drugs or gamble, and I barely drink alcohol, things which a lot of people do. By the way, I do drink alcohol, but it has to be a party, and I binge drink. So for me, alcohol is a mechanism to get wasted, and get absolutely trolleyed. But other than that, I may have the odd glass of wine, but yeah, I don't. Whereas I do know some alcoholics, and they spend a ridiculous amount of money on, they spend like 600 quid a month on alcohol. Like, it's just nuts. And I know chain smokers. Jesus, I know someone that spends £1,000 a month on cigarettes. Like, yeah, anyway, let's get back to the point. So all of that is more of a waste of money, in my opinion. Also, are you projecting your negativity on billionaires every time they go and buy a super yacht or when people go and buy a supercar? If so, the problem is within you, mate, not me. It's a terrible trait to hate on people doing well or buying things. It's the millionaires and billionaires out there that help lubricate the economy. Most jobs are from millionaires and billionaires, not the government, etc. And if these people choose to buy a painting or a car or a house or whatever, it's their business, not yours. This video, and then I talk about the video that covers some direct life points. If you're struggling, then check out the wap.org. I've created this for exactly people in your situation. It's designed to get people out of a hole. Also, I've done live streams every work day since February, and the recordings are all on YouTube for free. I think I do more than my fair share to the economy, not to mention all of the charity I do, which I never broadcast or share online, as I feel charity should be done discreetly. Yeah, a couple of points there. With the charity stuff, okay, this is the first time I've said I do charity, which I'm not doing this for ego or whatever. But like, you'll never see me go, hey, look at this poor person that I've rescued off the street and I've given him a job and I've put him in a house and all that sort of stuff. Like, you'll never see me do that. I'll never showcase any of that, but I do that. And the other thing is, yeah, so billionaires and stuff. So Jeff Bezos, I think, has just bought one of the biggest or one of the most expensive super yachts in history. It's being built right now, and it's so big it has another yacht as a support yacht, which is just ridiculous. Now, obviously, he is like a billion levels bigger than me, and I do get what you're thinking. And I think, if I'm being completely honest, there was probably a split second where part of me went, man, that's such a waste of money. But then I checked myself before I wrecked myself, and it literally was a fleeting second of a thought, and I thought, good on him. Now, I'm not particularly a fan of Jeff Bezos. There's a lot of things he's done which I don't agree with, I don't like. Just like there's a lot of things that Elon Musk has done and I don't like. But I cannot and I will not hate on the guy for buying a big freaking yacht. Because if you were worth over $100 billion, you would be doing that as well. Probably, maybe not the biggest yacht in the world, but you probably have a yacht. Or you'd rent a yacht. I don't know. And also, in terms of a percentage of their net worth, it was like, it's loose change for him. It really is. So it's nothing. It's not like he's, going out on a limb to get that. And also, that yacht is probably free for him because he's just doing it out of investment profits, company profits, all that sort of stuff. Anyway, but yeah, the reason why I'm not hating on him is because Jeff Bezos, even though I don't like him, has made my life way better. Like, I hate shopping in person. I hate it. I really do. That's why every live session, every day, I have Amazon freaking knocking on the door and Pip's downstairs going nuts. He's changed my life. It really is. Like literally, Amazon Prime, I can easily say, has changed my life. Now, it's changed my life, not like amazingly, but it's a nice thing. I like Amazon Prime, so it's great. So good on him. Go for it. he has done the world a great service. And there are loads of other billionaires, which again I'm not a fan of, but has done a good service to the world. So in my opinion, you just can't hate on people like that. And I think you should. And if you are someone that has those sorts of feelings and opinions, etc., that is all within yourself. You are projecting your own self-inadequacies on other people. And again, I've done that in the past. There are things I've hated on in the past, which I really shouldn't have. And I think it's just an internal point that you need to work on. In fact, you can turn negatives into positives. So a lot of the negatives I've had in the past, I've reframed my mindset to use that as inspiration. So when I was broke, I used to do really embarrassing things. So I used to embarrass the hell out of Ellie because I do it like all the time. So I'll be, in Norwich, whatever, and a supercar will pull up at the traffic lights. Okay, so what do I go and do? So most people will go, toss a Ferrari, or what a wanker. I bet he has a small dick. He's overcompensating, or that's what most people say when they see a supercar. Stuff like that. What I would do, and what I have done, is I would actually go and knock on the window and go, I'm so sorry to bother you, but this car is really inspiring. May I ask what you do for a living? Seriously, I forgot, I think it was almost, I had this set sentence. It was something like, I'm so sorry to bother you, but this car is really inspiring and I really want to know, what do you do for a living? And can you share one tip? And that's super cringe, but I've made contacts as a result. I remember there's one guy that I still chat with because I knocked on his freaking window and I was really impressed with his, oh God, he's had loads of cars. I think it was an Aston at the time. And I've learned loads of stuff from that. Now, I guess whether that's, I've got humility or I don't know, but for me, I do see that as inspiration. And I want to freaking know how he did it. Like, obviously that person is in a position better than I was, or I am. And that person will have gone through so much shit to get there. And also another side tangent to this before I shut up. I now I'm increasingly becoming aware of why a lot of super wealthy people are absolute dickheads. a lot of them, and they're cold and brutal, and I fully understand that. And it's because of all of the bullshit you go through with staff and business and stuff like that. Like all of that sort of stuff. Like, by the way, I know someone said I talk about my staff condescendingly and derogatory. I don't. When I talk about bad staff problems, I'm talking about previous train wreck nightmares of situations. My team, my A team, I freaking love them with and I would do anything for them, and I do go out of my way to help my staff, to the point where most of my core team have their own diaries. I'm like, look, don't ask me if you can have holiday for the school run or to leave work early or whatever. I don't give a shit. I really don't. Do your own schedule. Come into work when you want, leave when you want, have whatever holiday you want. I mean, contractually, they get like 32 days holiday a year, but in reality, they get more than that because I just don't care. At the end of the day, if you're in my team, I'm result-based. So if you have targets, you need to hit them. And so, so going back to the staff thing, the reason why a lot of wealthy people may appear cold and brutal is because they've been through the ringer. And even Ellie's in her first business. She's year one in her business, or 18 months into her first business. She's already starting to experience the absolute bullshit that comes with hiring incompetent people. Literally, and people where you go out of your way to help someone and then they just screw you over. Like, seriously. Anyway, so I'm going to shut up. Let's look at the chat. If anyone wants to unmute themselves, first come, first serve, just do it. And whilst I wait for someone to unmute themselves, I'm going to read some chats. I'm not going to talk about crypto today. I'm so sorry.
Hello, Simon.
Hey, is that Woody?
Yeah, it is, mate. How you doing?
Hey, I'm trying to find your face. I can't find your face.
Here.
It is here. Oh, there it is. Yeah, cool. How's it going?
You've hit a nerve today.
Have I hit your nerve?
Do you know what? No. And that's the interesting thing, because at one point you would have. Not you in particular, but the reaction that people have had to you would have hit a nerve. And I caught myself in a chat and I was like, fuck them. Honestly, I've grown up in a self-created poverty, not through my family or anything in my life, but when I left the army, I was in debt. I was in debt my entire adult life, and I have struggled, and I have had to literally fucking drag myself, kicking and screaming, to a point in my life where I'm not in that place. So
Yeah.
I've been through that mindset, and I'm talking from experience when I can say that if it wasn't for people like you, I would probably still be there. All right. So first of all, I want to acknowledge you, because I think that far too often things that you do get unnoticed. And to put a point on that, what you did, yes, all right, it could be looked at as people are like, oh, I'm struggling with money and you're wasting that money. It's like humor. It's subjective. I thought it was fucking hilarious. I want to come around your house and look in your toilet so I can see it, because things like it's like when Richard Branson, when the London Eye was being erected and BA couldn't get it up, and so he put a blimp above the London Eye saying BA can't get it up. You know, that's the sort of shit I want to do when I'm rich, because that's fun. Yeah. So for somebody to then take that and put it's not even negative energy, it's fucking abuse. It's just that, you know, there's no such thing as a rich victim, is a saying, isn't it? It's that because you've made it and because you've got something, that abuse doesn't count towards you. But it's fucking abuse, because your self-worth is something you've had to work on your entire life. And you don't know, it might be that you've built yourself up from the ground, and now, because people are sending you this abuse because of where they are in their situation, that's why I'm at the point where I'm like, fuck them. Honestly, I want to help them, but I'm also at the point where I'm like, if that's how you think, I haven't got any time for you. And that's something I'm working on, because I'm aware, even by talking about it now, that that's the mindset that you were mentioning you had to change, like by knocking on the car and speaking to people. So I would just invite anybody that's listening to this, as someone that's been there and working through it, is just open your mindset. And I was talking, and there's a comment, and hopefully you'll get to it, with Anita, who's talking in the chat. And it's interesting. And I said, I think this is fascinating, because you've created a safe environment where we can have these conversations, where we actually can debate it, rather than having a closed mind opinion on social media where we just throw our opinion out there. And if you don't agree, you're wrong. Like, it's nice to not have that council culture in this environment. And that's it, mate. I just wanted to blow some smoke up your ass and say thanks.
Thanks, mate. Yeah. I just want to do cool, silly shit throughout my life. So, yeah. I didn't know that Branson story. That's hilarious. I love it. It's a bit like Elon saying Bezos can't get it up because he still hasn't reached orbit with Blue Origin. But yeah, I completely agree. And also, by the way, I have endless time for people trying to get themselves out of a hole, because I've been there. The thing that really pisses me off is when people moan, "Oh, I'm so poor, I can't, I'm in a hole, whatever," and they do nothing to get out of that hole. And I've known of people in my old sphere where I've tried to help. They don't do anything. They don't put the time in to learn the new knowledge that they need, or the skill sets that they need. And we have zero excuses these days with YouTube and Facebook and Google and all that. And even if it takes you 15 years to get to where you want to go, that's still way better than working for 40 years. So anyway, so looking through the comments, I agree. And I go back to a previous point I said before, that money is simply an amplifier of oneself. So if you are inherently a douchebag and you become a billionaire, you're going to be the biggest douchebag out there. If you're a really nice person and you become a billionaire, guess what? You're going to be helping people. You're going to be doing stuff. It's just an amplifier. But annoyingly, or not annoyingly, there are just a lot of people who, I think a lot of the bad billionaires out there, they are psychopaths. Because when you look at and I've done a lot of reading into psychopathy and stuff like that. And if you are a clinical psychopath, you have parts of the brain which have zero empathy, etc. Humans are no different than like ants to you sometimes, or some types of psychopath, etc. And therefore, if you have a goal or a target, it's like you'll do things which normal people won't do. Now, it doesn't necessarily make you evil, but and those people end up doing douchebaggery things. but to them it doesn't seem douchebaggery. They may do it for what they think is the greater good principle or whatever. So yeah, anyway. Rachel, why don't they moan at a crackhead for wasting money? Yeah. Because very early on, I just didn't want to be a burden on society. That was my first goal, not to become a millionaire or whatever. I just didn't want to be a burden on anyone. I didn't want to be a burden on my parents. I didn't want to be a burden on the government. I used to have a lot of love for the government and the crown, but that's waned massively once I started learning how the world actually works. But yeah, Anita, I don't buy that it's the millionaires and billions that are contributing to society. They're hoarding wealth to the debt. Oh, okay, let's explore this. Anita, can you open your mic?
Hello.
Hey, yeah, I like this comment. Okay. I don't buy, she said, Anita, so for those on YouTube, Anita said, I don't buy it's the millionaires and billionaires that are contributing to society. They're hoarding wealth to the detriment of the rest of the world. Okay, let's explore that.
I feel like I'm a bit of a lone voice on this call.
No, air it. This is a safe environment.
Yeah, well, as I there's a few things here, Simon. I was just typing another comment. And
there you are.
And the other comment that I was going to say was, you often refer to yourself, Simon, as an ordinary bloke from Norwich. You're not an ordinary bloke. And this is one of the things, I mean, and there are other comments in this thread saying, oh, everybody can get wealthy, they just have to work hard. I'm afraid that's not true. Different people have different levels of intelligence, abilities, life chances, where they're born, which families they're born into. I just don't buy that everybody's got the same opportunity. So that's one thing.
Okay.
And
let's talk about that one first, because that's one thread there. So, okay, someone being poor in the UK is very different to being poor in Nigeria.
I agree.
Okay? I agree. So that's a fact.
Yeah.
But there are loads of people that are born in, say, Nigeria in poverty that end up doing very well for themselves.
Yeah.
So now, obviously, those people are probably talented and exceptional in various ways, and I agree. But what I'm talking about is poverty, UK poverty, which really, on the grand scheme of things, isn't poverty. Like, we're not going to be struggling for food and warmth and all that sort of stuff. Typically.
So let's talk about that as well. Not everybody, it's not a level playing field. Some people are more talented, more intelligent than other people, and I think we need to recognise that some people have disabilities. It's not a level playing field.
But I know of a lot of, or I've seen, like I chat to homeless people sometimes because with no agenda, I just want to understand the sequence that led to where they are, and I just always think that if I was in that position, and let's say I didn't have any network, no money whatsoever, and academically I'm not a clever person. I got 2 Ds for my A levels, and I struggle with basic math.
I'm sorry, that's not true. I have 2 children with learning disabilities, and my view is that you are gifted with a learning disability. It's not true to say you're not clever.
Okay, but
I'd agree with that, by the way,
if I was on the streets, I would, and the first port of call is to get a job, right? Looking at things logically, and obviously, if you're on the streets and you have rough clothes, etc., you're not going to get a normal job. It's going to be really hard. Job centre probably won't help you that much, and I used to go to job centre. So I would then go to the next thing. I'll be like, okay, there are thousands of jobs on like strawberry picking, farm jobs, hard manual labour jobs. Yeah, I would do that.
I know that's what you would do, but that doesn't mean that everybody has that capacity. There are lots of people with mental health issues, and certainly a lot of homeless people have got mental health issues, addiction issues. What I'm saying is, I just don't think it's fair to say that anybody can do what you've done. That's all I'm saying. And then
okay.
On the hoarding thing, I mean, I think absolutely it's wrong. It's morally wrong for people to have that much money. They are effectively hoarding resources in the same way that if somebody was hoarding all the food in the world.
Okay, so let's look at that. So let's say someone like Bezos or Musk is worth $100 billion, do you know how that wealth is actually, in what form or capacity that wealth is actually in?
No, I mean, I'm sure it's not all in cash. I'm sure it's in investments. But if we accept, and I don't know if I do, but if we accept that there's a finite amount of wealth in the world, then they're taking more than their fair share.
So
And if there was no poverty and no homelessness, it wouldn't matter. But there is.
Okay, so just dissecting this. So let's take a random billionaire worth 100 billion, okay, or 1 billion. It doesn't matter. So 99% of the time, like nearly in every instance of that, all of that wealth is not in cash. It's simply of stock of their company. So that's why you see articles like Musk lost $20 billion of wealth last weekend or whatever. So it's all tied up in stock. Now, they don't have access to that money. Musk, Bezos, they cannot have access to $100 billion worth. Now, the only way they can convert that $100 billion of stock, of basically shares of their company, is by either selling it or donating it. Okay. So, Musk, now the thing is but it then becomes a control issue. So if Musk all of a sudden goes, right, I'm going to convert my $100 billion worth of stock to do good to the world, he would either have to sell it or gift it, or sell the stock to raise the capital. Then there's a capital gains element, which is going to detriment his own company. And then there's and him, or he could gift it, and sometimes billionaires gift, 1,000 Apple stock shares or whatever. But that person then lose control of the company. Now, when you have, like, if you look at Musk, Zuckerberg, Facebook, any of these tech billionaires, they only own between 15 to 25% of their business. As in, they only have 15 to 25% of their company. So if they started trying to get access to the $100 billion that they're worth or whatever, all of a sudden they're going to be diluting their equity of their own business to a point where they then have no control of their business. And therefore their business will then be in the hands of Wall Street dickheads, who then control, whatever. So, and also the second Elon tries to cash in on $100 billion or whatever, that will then tank the share price, and then the share price will be worth 10p in the pound or whatever, and that then has knock-on effects, because then the company will then have to shrink. And big companies shrinking, when they shrink, they shed tens of thousands of jobs. So I guess that's my little caveat perspective of that. But I do see your sentiment. I do agree that billionaires could do a lot more for the world. I mean, hunger is like, there's no reason we should have hunger in this day and age. And it's a very cheap thing to solve. Very cheap. Hell, if you look at all of the money that's spent on bullshit COVID, for social distancing and stuff like that, then they could have solved world hunger by now. All it takes is a few $1 trillion. That's it.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have to keep feeding them every day. You create things that generate food. So I agree with you on that. And yeah, but then we toe the line on socialism. The moment someone goes, right, every billionaire has to donate 10% of their wealth to this fund, guess who ends up owning that fund? Oh, the billionaires own the fund, or corporates. So politicians own the fund, then they waste it. If you look at every government thing out there, or like, government is like the worst thing in terms of capital allocation. They waste money. Yeah, anyway, I'll shut up now. So we had a question from Tom.
Yeah,
cheers, Anita. By the way, thank you for airing your opinion. I do, even if it was contrary to the thread, it's good.
Yeah, I think my view is somewhere in between. Sorry, I joined the conversation halfway through as well, really, in that I certainly think there should be an incentive for people to become ultra successful. If you are that nature of person, money is often seen as ultimately the humanity's kind of ultimate goal in terms of the device it can give you. So it's only fair that people have that level of incentive. And however you were to remunerate that or recognize that, you're always going to have ultra top performers that get the most. So fundamentally, it's right that people like Musk and Bezos, etc., have that level of wealth in terms of recognition. I think the flip on that is, I think the grey area, or the line I don't necessarily agree, and probably most of us don't agree with, is that the way they get there, albeit legally, is they've probably rode a path that means they've avoided a hell of a lot of tax, which has therefore cut the countries out.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily talking about the level that they should go away and cure first world hunger. I don't think that would ever happen. I don't think it's a case of they're just sucking up all this money, keeping it to themselves. And if it wasn't for them, that money would be back out in the world fixing problems. That would never happen. And that, I think, highlights your point about how governments are treating like the money they put into COVID. But the problem is they should be making a fair investment back into, at the very least, the local economies they are growing those businesses in, so that things like whether it's education systems can improve, whether it's infrastructure can improve, whether it's water supplies or whatever it might be can improve, so that it's a fair share of that wealth in relation to the people and the humanity that's ultimately got them to that higher level of recognition financially.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I completely agree. So, and by the way, there's no correct answer for any of this. This is just all opinions. There is, and even the words right and wrong is a social construct. It really is a social construct that is typically crafted and shaped by law. But what is law? Law is things that we put in place, and this, I guess this leads to another thing going, oh, it's legal, it must be okay. No, a lot of the world's, the biggest scams in the world are legal. But yeah, then we're going off another topic of right and wrong. Yeah. Oh man, I want to continue this chat, but I've got to go. I've literally got a 1 o'clock appointment, which is not in my house, which is really annoying. So I'm going to have to put some trousers on. I'm actually sat in my underwear, if you all want to know. I thought I'd put on a t-shirt for this live session. Do you mind if we do this topic again? What's happening tomorrow? I think, we're going to put a little pin in this. And tomorrow, we're going to do this tomorrow. Yes, faux show. So we're going to call this part 1 of sharing your billionaire money, excessive spending type thing. And part 2 will be tomorrow. So please join me for tomorrow at 12 o'clock. I'm so sorry I'm going to have to cut this short. And I wish I could read out all the comments in the Zoom, because it's a really good thread. I've been reading it. So, and tomorrow we won't have the first. I mean, I hogged the mic for 15 minutes today. So please join me tomorrow. Does that make sense? Is that all okay? In fact, I'm going to save the comments. I'm just Control C. I'm going to Control V this baby. Done. And we'll try and read some out tomorrow. But please be here tomorrow, 12 o'clock. And for those on YouTube, thanks for watching. We've got some good comments here as well. And thank you, Elbin. Much appreciated. And and also Qwerty Bertie. You shortened your name, mate. You used to be Qwerty Bertie, Qwerty Burr. Anyway, toodles, got to go.